And of course, leading into what I wanted to show you guys, which is this chart right here. I got a lot more charts to show you guys, but this is interesting because there are so many charts like this, so many indicators and models and a whole bunch of stuff, signals that, you know, show that we're very similar to bottom of 2018 or even 2015 or March of 2020. But this one is an indicator that hasn't triggered since 2016. Okay? And what happened? From that point, Bitcoin rallied from $380 to $20,000. Think about that. Wow. Wow, right? And what is this? This is Bollinger Band with Squeeze. Basically, measuring Bollinger Band on the weekly scale and how the bands have squeezed really, really tightly. Remember, we've been talking about volatility dropping really low, right? So the last time that squeeze happened with Bollinger Bands, it was back in April 2016, nearly 7 years ago, and Bitcoin went on to run, you know, tremendously. So right now, that has also triggered once again. So does that mean we're going to get a huge upside from here on out? Well, I guess only time will tell. But we don't see a lot of these indicators that hasn't been triggered for this long. Again, like I said, a lot of them show similarities to 2020 and 2018 and 2015, right? But this one has been triggered since 2016. Something's building up right now, right? We've been so stagnant, so stable, I guess, for quite a long time. And usually when that happens, it's a precursor to something explosive afterwards. So look forward to that, my friends. This is breaking news. Just minutes ago it was released. UK has a new prime minister, Rishi Sunak. I'm horrible with names, so I'm hoping that's right. But the rival Penny Mordaunt drops out of race, and there was rumors about Boris Johnson coming back in. Some people in the Conservative Party wanted him to come back, and then he's like, "No, I'm not going to do that," because he was just ousted, or he resigned / ousted about 6 weeks ago. So, yeah. So for those of you guys living in the UK, you now have a new prime minister, or soon we'll have a new prime minister. So how this works, as far as I understand, Liz Truss has to go to King Charles to give her resignation, and then King Charles will appoint Rishi as the new prime minister. I think that's how it works. Okay, again, there was no general election. The Conservative Party just kind of nominated a few people, and really no one wanted to be prime minister. It's a tough job. Look at how many prime ministers have come through the doors over the last few years, right? So it's a very, very tough job, and hopefully Rishi will do a better job than Liz Truss, who only survived for 6 weeks, and it's unknown if she's going to give back that pension rule where you collect £115,000 for the rest of your life. A lot of people asking her to give that back. I don't know if she will, but yeah. Okay, so you guys should be excited. As for the U.S., we're about to open in 1 minute. So 191 for Dow, 6.75 only for NASDAQ. So it looks like we are going to open in the green, but NASDAQ is showing a little weakness. So we'll see how that is. But last night I created a video for you guys talking about this week, 2 huge economic data that is something that we need to watch out for, right? And that is, number 1, the GDP report comes out on Wednesday. Number 2 is PCI, or not PCI, PCE. PCE is also a measure of inflation, and that's the index that Powell actually likes. He has said he believes that PCE is a better indicator of inflation than CPI. So we'll see. I mean, this is, of course, measuring year over year and also measuring August. So I don't know if much is going to change because we already got to CPI. We kind of know the core inflation went up in August, or in this case, September. I'm sorry. So I don't know if we're going to see anything unexpected. There we go. Market rings. Market bell rings. It's 8:30. Woohoo. All right. And what else is going on outside of these big economic reportings? Well, there's a lot of earnings. It's going to start tomorrow, really. I mean, it starts today, but the big ones that we care about starts tomorrow. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. A lot of big tech earnings. So we'll see how these big tech giants lead the market. DXY, unfortunately, is still heading higher, and that's because what Bank of Japan has done so far to try to stabilize their Japanese yen has failed miserably. They spent about $50 billion to buy their own bonds, and it did absolutely nothing. And you could see that, yeah, short term it did a little bit. It did help the yen a little bit against the dollar, and then boom, right back up. So unfortunately, that $50 billion they spent is a drop in a bucket. It's nothing. They need to spend like $500 billion to really make a dent. And that's how bad things are around the world. And unfortunately, that's why the DXY continues to just kind of hover and not go down in any significant fashion, right? We want to see that drop to 100 or 90, but it keeps going up because these other currencies are just getting weaker, weaker, and weaker. So we have to continue to keep our eyes on it. But with all that said, you know what? There is one that is not getting weaker. There is one that I've been talking about for years. The only currency, only asset really worth holding on to worldwide, regardless of what fiat currencies that you use, is Bitcoin. And Fidelity even says so. Fidelity discussed Bitcoin as a portfolio insurance. Okay? Portfolio insurance to what? To fiat. More and more big institutions and banks are now coming out and saying this. That if you actually want insurance against the fiat currency that you hold, doesn't matter if it's yen or euro or sterling or even the US dollar, okay? You buy Bitcoin because Bitcoin can't be inflated the same way. There's a set supply. There's no bank that could just say, okay, let's just print $1 trillion more of it. It's not controlled by anyone, any country, any entity, really. It's controlled by people, and it's governed by code. And it's the most decentralized network that we have today. So Fidelity is basically saying, hey, if you want to hedge against fiat, or you want to opt out, or you want to just buy insurance against your fiat, what you do is buy Bitcoin. So think about that. Think about that kind of endorsement. And then, of course, you have other indicators too. This one is actually correlating to gold. I'm not sure I like this because it is correlating to gold. But this person right here makes an argument whenever there is a very high correlation to gold, that's usually when a bottom is formed. And again, what happens afterwards? Explosiveness to the upside. And right now, we're seeing that again. Gold, we know, hasn't done really well, hasn't moved in either direction, and is pretty stable, and Bitcoin is pretty stable. So you have that very high correlation. So again, another one of these models that show, hey, Bitcoin has found bottom. This is a great time to be stocking up. And that is exactly what a lot of people are doing, including the super rich. So interesting, in Hong Kong and Singapore, Bitcoin and NFTs, not just Bitcoin, maybe because the super rich are using NFTs to launder money or evade taxes. I don't know, but there's definitely a lot of interest everywhere. I've been showing you guys how massive amount of Bitcoin's leaving exchanges, billions upon billions. Could be going to these guys, could be going to others where there's definitely some whales, sharks, dolphins that are buying up behind the scenes and DCAing, and that is why Bitcoin continues to show massive amount leaving the exchanges. So it's just, again, it's just a matter of time. You have an asset where there's a set supply and the inflation rate keeps dropping every 4 years, and you have worldwide people now tuning in, getting educated, buying and DCAing, plus you're fighting the whales that are now doing the same thing. I mean, you put all those things together, you know what it's going to lead to. A tremendous upside that hasn't hit yet. All right, yeah, here's another one. Addresses to prove that whales are buying. Addresses with above 10,000 Bitcoins. 10,000? Pretty much all-time high. Continues to go higher, right? So there's definitely a lot of whales stocking up right now. All right, what else is there? Well, apparently SBF, we know is under a lot of fire recently. So there was some kind of phishing scam with this trading platform called 3 Commas, which I think they use bots or something to basically make trades for you. I've heard of it before, never used it. I don't trust any of these bots. But anyways, supposedly someone hacked 3 Commas, so started a trade with all these people, because in order for 3 Commas to trade, you have to give up your private key, your API key to exchanges like FTX. So supposedly a lot of people had their crypto traded away to nothing. So SBF is saying, hey, one time only, we will refund people who were affected by this. Interesting. This could be because of all the heat that SBF has been taking recently. So he wants to, this is like a goodwill gesture kind of thing, right? But again, this is why I don't trust. Back in 2017-18, I heard a lot of people talk about bot trading and stuff like that, where you just let a bot do its thing and it'll just go make a lot of money. A lot of exchanges have that now. Like Binance has that, KuCoin has it. I'm pretty sure FTX, they have their own bot trading and stuff like that. But a lot of these ones where they ask you for your API key, right? I just don't trust them. I would never give that up. So just be careful. But anyways, SBF is trying to please people. So there's that. What else? What else going on today? Not a whole lot. I did see this, Credit Suisse. Again, more troubles for Credit Suisse. They have to pay $234 million to end this French tax probe. So again, due to money laundering and some of the other stuff they're accused of, they have to pay another $234 million to France. They just paid $500 million to the U.S. for what occurred in 2008. That's $750 million on top of how much they lost before and anything else that's going on. Right, this is why Credit Suisse is looking for a lot of liquidity. They recently said that they just need money, right? So still not looking good for this giant bank out of Switzerland, and hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing bad happens, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other banks tied up to what they're doing. All right, so looking at U.S. markets, hey, plus 300 is good, but NASDAQ is down. It's probably because a lot of people are worried about earnings. Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Google, they're all reporting. And you have some other big ones too, like Coca-Cola's reporting, Ford is reporting, but I think mainly people are looking at the big tech giants and seeing what they do. If they do well, obviously it gives hope for the rest of the industry. If they don't do well, then, it's bad for the rest of the industry. It's kind of like that. And Tesla, of course, already reported, came in a little bit light, and they have been decimated ever since that. And I saw this report, too, for Tesla, how they cut some of their pricing in China. So normally this would be good, but this is seen as bad, maybe due to softer demand, right? So they're not looking too good today. As for the entire crypto market cap, we're still Well, we're a little bit lower than last night, but overall we're still up versus last week. So let's see if this can continue. Hey, Ethereum finally moving a little bit, trying to close in at 1400 again. And others like XRP didn't move. You got Polygon still doing very well, trying to get back up to that $1 mark. It's very, very, very close. Look at it. Versus Doge, 7.9 billion to 7.78 billion. Polygon is really close in terms of moving to the top 10, and it should get there, and it belongs there. But I think Polygon has enough to actually go much higher. But looking at others, any great movers? Any other great movers today? Aptos, still very hyped up. Aave, so DEX's DeFi projects are still doing good. Clayton up huge. Wow. Clayton up huge. That is one project out of South Korea that I never really paid much attention to, but maybe it's time to start. I've been hearing more projects moving in Clayton. They're still relatively small at 561 billion. Another DeFi project doing good. DeFi projects have been doing good. Kava is also DeFi.